Hello, welcome to this fifth tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create annotations while you're working in OmegaT. And this technique will work with any CAT platform. One thing I noticed when I was evaluating a lot of different CAT platforms is they all, none of them had an annotations feature, which is frustrating if you're creating an academic or scholastic translation and you can't add any footnotes or endnotes until after you export the document. But I found a good workaround. Basically, I use double square brackets to create my notes, and then I use a macro in MS Word that converts those into footnotes. And at the end of this video, I'll show you how to remove those from the translation memories as well as an option, and I'll kind of discuss why you would or wouldn't want to do that. So let's get started. I'm going to use an example from the first two videos, this simple Unicode, Tibetan Unicode in 8 lines of text, or 8 lines of verse. And as you can see, I've already translated the first 4 verses into English, but I haven't translated the last 4 yet. But I just want to show you how to do annotations. So let's say we want a note about King Ajatashatru. So we'll add a double square brackets, and then we'll say, for now, this is a note. And then let's do another one for comparison. So this is a note. And we can do as many of these as we want. We can do multiple notes in a single segment. This is another note. So that looks good for now. So after we've completed translating a text, we will export the document by going to Project and create Translated Documents. And this will create the exported target document, and it will also create the translation memory in the form of a TMX file. So let's do that, and let's see what the exported document looks like. So let's take a look at our project folder. As you recall, the exported translation will be exported to the target subfolder. So let's take a look at the Word document. All right. Let me zoom out a bit. So this looks good. The first 4 lines are translated into English, but the latter 4 I hadn't translated yet, so it exported the source. But we have these 3 notes that we made, and so we're going to convert those into footnotes with a macro. So the macro is attached to the video notes, and it should look like this. It's just a little snippet of code like that. So we're going to highlight it all and Control-C to copy. From MS Word, the way you run a macro is from the Developer tab. However, if you're unfamiliar with this, you first need to enable the Developer tab by going to File, Options, Customize Ribbon, and then check the Developer tab right here. It's unchecked by default. And then hit OK. I think I'm running Microsoft Word 2010. I think newer versions might be slightly different, but it should be similar. So then this will create the Developer tab, and then from there you can click on Macros. And then from this dialog, go to this drop-down menu and select the name of the document. This document that I just translated is called test D. And You can name the macro. It looks like my name is already in here. Don't put any spaces in the name. It should be all one word. And then click on Create. And then from this Visual Basic window, you're going to highlight the everything in the window and paste in that, replace it with that code that we just copied from the macro file. And then we'll run it by clicking Run or this green button here. And let's take a look. It looks like it worked great. We have these 3 footnotes, and they're all down here at the bottom of the page. And if you prefer endnotes, you can change them by going to you go View and Draft, and then References and Show Notes. It'll put the notes in a separate window, and you can click in there and Control A to select all the notes, and then right click on them, and there should be an option Convert to EndNotes, and that will change them all into EndNotes. So that's great. We've got a good method for creating notes while we're working on the text in the editor, and we know that we can properly convert them after the file is exported. So now let's take a look again from the OmegaT editor. So as I mentioned, when we enter in our notes in these double square brackets, it's going to create the notes not only in our exported translation, but also in the new TM file that we're making from this project, and that we're going to then use in later projects. And it's most likely that these notes are going to be specific to this context here. In a few cases, I imagine the notes might be some information about the term. In that case, they might be quite useful, but most likely they're going to be I find them a little distracting within the translation memory, and so I want to remove them from the translation memory whenever I finish translating a text. So how to do that? Well, basically we're going to use a text editor and use a regular expressions search and replace command to delete all of the double square brackets in the file. So let's take a look again in the source folder. And as you recall, when you export the translation, it doesn't put the new TMX file in the TM folder. That folder is for the TMs from previous projects that you're referencing in this new project. The exported TMX appears right here in the main folder with the name of the text, example-OmegaT. So let's open that. And the text editor that I'm going to use is called Notepad++. If you run Windows, I recommend downloading and installing Notepad++. It's a free application. And if you run on a Mac, I recommend an application called Sublime Text. I will leave links to where you can download those 2 applications in the video notes. If you're working in Windows, once you have Notepad++ installed, you can right-click on the file, and then you'll be able to click Edit with Notepad++. And that'll open the file in this text editor. And so here is what the TMX file looks like. Most of this we don't want to change. This is all markup encoding that we don't want to mess with. But we want to remove these double square brackets, and we want to remove all the content inside them and leave everything else untouched. So to do that, we're going to press Control F to open a search dialog, and we'll click on the Replace tab, and then we're going to search for for, oops, well, here's the, oh, I have it right here. Here's the code we're going to search for. I'll just I'll paste it here so you can see it more clearly. A little bigger. Okay. So I know it looks like gibberish. You don't necessarily have to know how it works. You can just paste that in. But in case you are a little familiar with regular expressions, I'll just explain how this works. The backslash bracket is the code to delimit an actual bracket, because the bracket itself is a regex code, so you need the backslash to search for an actual bracket. So this is the initial double square brackets. It's going to search for the initial square brackets. And then a period is to search for any character, whether it's a space, a Tibetan Unicode, a Roman character, anything. And then the plus is a greedy search, so it says to keep searching or grab as many of those as you can. Well, not as many. The question mark means as many as possible until it hits this closing delimiter of these two double, and these again you need the backslash to define the closing square bracket. So sorry about my poor explanation here, but that's basically how the code works. You don't have to necessarily understand that, but you can just copy this bit of code, and that will also be posted in the video notes. So you can just copy it from there and paste that into the search box, and then we'll replace with nothing. So let's just use find to make sure it finds it. So yeah, it's finding just those annotations. And so let's click again at the beginning of the folder and we'll replace all. And just like that, it took out all of the annotations. And so now we have a nice clean TM, and in future references we won't see all of those distracting annotations. And so we can save the file and then it's ready to go, just like that. So that's it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to show you a little bit more about how to prepare the text for uploading to OmegaT or another cat tool. I'll kind of step you through the process, beginning with the raw file from the eConger and how to process it in a convenient and efficient way. Thank you. Bye.